As far as calling his brothers and everybody else before he called his son Buster, he said he wanted to find someone who could be with Buster because Buster was out of town and he didn't want to break the news to him without someone there with him. Said the search for a restaurant was an accident, and that was why he had made those mistakes on his phone. As far as the law enforcement, he said botched crime scene. He doesn't trust SLED. He'd been through a lot with them, with the boat crash and Stephen Smith, etc. But you know what? The perfect person to dig into all of that is Carl Douglas. He is a criminal defense and civil rights attorney. He knows a lot about defending high-profile people because he served as a member of O.J. Simpson's dream team. Oh, Carl, I'm so glad you're here. Do you think after 2 days on the stand, he did himself any favors?
Well, Ashleigh, the lawyer's decision, and basically his decision to testify, I think, is similar to a Hail Mary. They are now trying to seek a hung jury. When he admitted initially on the stand that he was present at the kennel on the tape, I think from that point forward, he was hoping at best for a hung jury, because there's really no way that you accept that evidence that he was there on the tape within minutes of the actual shooting, that these bloodhounds were not barking or sensing the presence of anyone else that could have been there, and that the deaths happened within minutes of his being there on the tape. There's not a chance, I think, in the world that 12 fair-minded jurors will be persuaded that he is not guilty, or that the prosecution has not proven their evidence beyond.
Let me ask you this, Carl. Emotion's big, right? Because that lands hard like a thud. They're not taking notes in the jury box. They're not allowed to, so they have to just remember everything, and emotion makes a real imprint. This is a moment I want to play for you when Alex was asked if he killed Paul and Maggie. I'm just going to tell our control room it's the 11-second piece of sound, because I think this is really poignant. Have a look at this. I want to get your thoughts.
Alex, did you murder Maggie?
I would never hurt Maggie.
Did you murder Paul?
I would never hurt Paul.
So, Carl, he didn't get really emotional in that moment, but it was sort of culminating in a statement. And do you think that's powerful?
That it begins that way, Ashleigh, and that it ends that way is part of the plan, is part of the hope, and is part of the strategy of the defendant to humanize this man. Throughout this trial, there's been a lingering question: what would make someone shoot his wife and his young son? So humanizing him in that way, I think, is designed to tug at the heartstrings in an effort to seek a hung jury. The defense lawyer's number one job, Ashleigh, is to avoid a conviction. And if they are able to reach a hung jury, that is at least a minor victory for them. Tonight, I'm sure the defense lawyers are happy about the way their client performed the last 2 days.
I think you're right. I think you are right. Carl Douglas on a Friday night. I just hope it can be more Friday nights. Thank you so much for this. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.